Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way with a very exciting, basically LaserDisc haul video. I was at Half Price Books recently, as I sometimes am known to be at, and I came across these 14. It's been quite a long time since I've gotten anywhere near 14 LaserDiscs at one time. My mom was very gracious years ago. I can't remember if it was my golden birthday or the year after I nearly died in a car wreck. I think it was the year after I nearly died in a car wreck that someone else drove head on into me when I was 19 years old. I think a year later my mom was very overly gracious, spoiled me way too much one birthday, the birthday after I nearly died at the age of 19 in a car wreck, being driven into head on. The year after that, she spoiled me way too much with a LaserDisc haul, I think brand new LaserDisc haul. I can't remember. That was quite a while ago. So this is the first time since that ridiculous, insane birthday LaserDisc haul way back in that might have been, what would that have been then? 1997 or 1998. First time since 1998 where I found 14 LaserDiscs all at once, and admittedly, unlike 97 or 98, these were much less expensive. Most of these are $2, which is amazing, as you might know. Back in the good old days, like the first decade of the 21st century, Half Price Books, if they sold LaserDiscs for a lot of years there, like I started going to Half Price in 2005, so I'd say from 2005 to I don't know what, maybe 2012, 13, 14, maybe somewhere around there, like LaserDiscs, all of them for the most part were like $1. Like no one wanted LaserDiscs. They were just unwanted garbage. And then sometime maybe 14, 15, 16, 17, they started going up in value. People started buying them and they could charge more, so they'd price them individually based on what they think they can get for them and stuff. So, LaserDiscs at Half Price Books went from, more or less $1 a piece to who knows whatever they think they can get, $5, $10, dollars a piece or whatever. So, but just like their normal, operations, they want to get product in and move product out. So obviously the majority of these, there's some of them that are more than $2, but the majority of these are $2 a piece. So just like they've, their business model has been for, probably ever since they've existed, you want to get product in, move product out. So if LaserDiscs don't sell at, whatever they're pricing them for, $5 or $4 or whatever, they got to price them to move. And the majority of these, I'm very happy to say, are $2. It's the first time I've gotten a whole, bunch of LaserDiscs for, $2 a piece in a long time. So, I kind of organize these by interest, maybe being least interest first and going, we'll save the interesting ones for last kind of thing. So the first one I found for $2, we can't see the clearance sticker is put over the what they originally wanted for it, but they originally would have wanted more for this. I'd never seen this. This came out back in the day when they were doing so many movies like this, late 80s, early 90s, Fatal Attraction, Pacific Heights, Single White Female, just so many kind of Sleeping with the Enemy, so many movies like this where they let like a family or a couple or something let a psychotic into their lives. In this case, a woman who wants revenge for, well, you got to watch a movie to find out or read the synopsis to find out. I know this was a big movie back in the day, like this and Single White Female I got these confused back in the day. I'd never seen this before. I thought for $2 I could go for it and get the hand that rocks the cradle. I looked at this and I'm like, oh wow, this features Matt McCoy. I first saw Matt McCoy, of course, in Deep Star 6, and he'd go on to be in other movies as well, including Abominable more recently and stuff. But I always kind of liked Matt McCoy from Deep Star 6. I don't know if I've ever really seen him in much other than Deep Star 6, Abominable, and now this. But Matt McCoy's kind of got a nice on-screen presence. This might be one of the only movies I've really seen Rebecca De Mornay, and God, she's kind of hot in this movie. And I don't really care one way or another about Annabella Scorell, whatever the hell her name is. We've got Ernie Hudson plays an idiot in this, which is kind of interesting. In a supporting role, she's not even on the back abbreviated credits here, but the woman who'd go on to be in whatever, the Psycho remake and the Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Big Lebowski and stuff. She's in here before she's, you know, being able to command more, I don't know, bigger roles or whatever. But this is something that came out in like the early 90s from the now defunct Hollywood Pictures. So Hollywood Pictures have put out a bunch of movies back, kind of basically a Disney company. I mean, it's just another Touchstone Pictures, Hollywood Pictures. They kind of came on the scene, what, early 90s, and they kind of lasted until what, maybe the mid 90s. Put out Super Mario Brothers. Did they put out, I can't remember who put out Indian Summer, but you know, I can remember that Hollywood Pictures put out Quiz Show was a big movie back in the day. Yeah, the Hollywood Pictures, which lasted maybe 10 or not 10, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, who knows how many years, not very long, but Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I did, as I said, I never saw it before, and I did see it for the very first time watching this LaserDisc, and not a huge, whole hell of a lot to report. I mean, just your kind of by the numbers movie like you'd expect. Like I say, Rebecca De Mornay, or whatever the hell her name is, relatively hot. I think, remember, if memory serves, you see some bosoms. It seems like you see both of these lead women's bosoms. Yeah. So there. I don't think you see the redhead woman's bosoms. You can watch frickin' Shortcuts or frickin'. Did she show bosoms in Big Lebowski? I can't remember. I'm not really keen. You know, I don't really want to see the redhead in this movie naked anyway. But yeah, $2. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Kino Lorber just recently put this out on 4K and also just normal Blu-ray disc. I've actually owned the VHS from back in the day, and I own the Artisan Entertainment DVD, and I actually just rewatched the DVD because I'm like, I haven't seen this for a while, and I'm like, is this something I should get on Kino Lorber Blu-ray? And maybe when the price is right down the road, maybe I'll get it. But I've got the VHS DVD. I don't have the Blu-ray yet, but I've got the LaserDisc of K2, the ultimate high. And no, it's about getting high up in the sky, not taking drugs. But this was kind of I've been listening to a little bit of just fooling about with Michael Biehn on YouTube, and this movie, he talks about reading the script in the car, and I don't know if he was driving, you know, if his wife was driving or someone. He was driving with someone else, wife, mistress, girlfriend, whatever, Michael Biehn. And he looked at the script for K2 and he threw it out the window. And then later on or something, I don't know if he was at a gas station or he talked to his agent, and he's like, yeah, they're offering you $50,000 to be in K2. And then Michael Biehn's like, yeah, then we had to go back and pick the script off the road, which I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny even if it isn't true. But Michael Biehn, I was kind of surprised that, you know, I've always kind of had a, you know, this kind of K2 has always kind of had a special place in my heart, you know, ever since it came out and stuff. And I, you know, looking at it again over the winter, I revisited a movie that I blind bought on 3D Blu-ray back in the day, which was Everest. And I think Everest is kind of just stupid and depressing. I think I've reviewed Everest back in the day, but I think this is, I actually like this a lot more than Everest. I think this is, I guess it's not as depressing. Maybe that's why I like it more than Everest. But I think this is actually kind of a fun, you know, movie to tackle the subject, you know, of mountain climbing and all this and that, starring Michael Biehn and the Canadian guy Matt Craven from such films as Meatballs and Happy Birthday to Me, and what's the other one he's in, Indian Summer and stuff. I think I really actually kind of like Matt Craven. So it's really cool to, I don't really necessarily care one way or another about Michael Biehn, but it's cool to see like Matt Craven like second billing in a movie, because usually he's just a big, you know, part of a big cast or whatever. So this title, as you can see here, I paid a whopping $3.49 for. This wasn't $2, but I'm like $3.49. We'll go for K2 on the original LaserDisc. Obviously, it's probably just the exact same scan that's on the Artisan DVD. Obviously, the VHS as well that I own. But I thought, well, for $3.50, let's add the original K2 LaserDisc to the collection. And in this case, it came in a kind of a plastic keeper case, or whatever the hell you want to call it, a plastic case to keep it in good condition. But yeah, K2 I think is actually kind of a fun early 90s mountain climbing movie, and Michael Biehn you know, I take him or leave him. I don't really care about Michael Biehn one way or another, but you know, he's good in this. And what the hell's his name? Matt Craven, and some other familiar faces in K2, the ultimate high. And this one I've actually, you know, I've reviewed the movie, the Kino Lorber Blu-ray in the movie years ago. Found this. This is the most expensive one, but because it's kind of a, I don't know what. It's just, how often do you come across this on LaserDisc? So I splurged for the $4.99 on an early '90s version of Continental Divide. Now this, I don't know if this might have been the first time. I don't know when the first time this would have been on LaserDisc. This particular one came out in 1991. You can see, can you see? Yeah, you can see in the bottom corner there. It's the early '90s Universal Home Video logo. So this one does have digital sound. I think it's a mono movie from the early '80s, but it does have digital sound. When did the movie come out? Okay, so the movie, this LaserDisc came out 10 years after the movie came out, 1981 and 1991 respectively. But yeah, I blind bought the Kino Lorber Blu-ray years ago, watched it, and turned out, I was like, you know, John Belushi, hot outdoors woman, you know, I'm sure outdoors movie, I'm sure I'll like it. Turns out I did like it, and I really should give it a rewatch because I don't think I've even watched the movie since I really just blind bought it and you know, got it and reviewed it. But Continental Divide, yeah, this is the most expensive out of the 14 LaserDisc haul, but I'm like, you know what, how often do you come across this at half-price books on LaserDisc? Admittedly, it'd probably be more fun to get, like, if they put this out on LaserDisc in the 80s, it'd be more fun to have that one, but that one might not be digital sound. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to watch. The only one of these I've watched so far is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, because I think it's the only one out of all these that I never had seen, so obviously that took precedent to watch that first. But $5 LaserDisc of Continental Divide. This title first came into my life years ago when I found a factory sealed VHS, bought it and showcased it on the channel. That made me and Beth want to see the movie, so I think we rented it on Prime or something. I never owned it until, well, I guess I do own the factory sealed VHS, but I'm never going to open that, obviously. And coming across this for how much? $2. I'm like, you know what? Let's actually own a version I can watch if I want to of Sea of Love. So this would be, yeah, goody. It's the original North American LaserDisc release of Sea of Love, which came out in, we've got copyright 1990, MCA Home Video Incorporated, all rights reserved. It's kind of interesting that it came out in 1990 because that's the year they changed their logo. As we can see, this is sporting the mid to late 80s MCA Home Video logo, which is kind of cool. This is actually still digital sound, so it's interesting how you've got, you know, an MCA Home Video LaserDisc with the old mid to late 80s logo with digital sound. So yeah, you know, it's not a movie that blew my ass off, but for $2 I'll, it's funny because I probably paid more for the factory sealed VHS than I did for the used, previously viewed LaserDisc. But $2, I'll own Sea of Love. That's what the cover looks like if you hadn't guessed. And here's what the back looks like. Now, what's funny about these is it's like, I don't know how many of these I'm even going to watch. It was just kind of like $2. It was just like, you know, I couldn't pass this stuff up for $2. So I just went for it and, you know, got this stuff, as you can see, for $2. And how many more of these am I going to watch? I don't know. No way I could pass this up for $2, the original North American LaserDisc release of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. I'm sure glad this wasn't the final. I think when they made this, you know, the title would suggest that they intended this to be the last one, but after they made this and it was finished, Paramount probably instantly realized, well, we can't go out like this. We got to do at least one more, and let's bring back Nicholas Meyer. Is that how you pronounce his name? To the guy who helmed Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, to do the final Star Trek movie with the original crew. But you know, I've got a soft spot for this one. Well, the cool thing, one of the biggest strengths for Star Trek V is Jerry Goldsmith returning for the first time since the motion pictures. So, And by this time, yeah, by the time this came out, his motion picture opening title music was already being used for the television show Star Trek The Next Generation. So it's kind of weird, like when '89 this came out, like 2 years after the first season of Star Trek Next Generation. Now all of a sudden we're using, which was originally Star Trek Motion Picture, now it's Star Trek Next Generation opening music, now it's Star Trek V, The Final Frontier music. But yeah, probably the biggest strength about this movie is the visual effects. I'm just kidding. The fact that Jerry Goldsmith came back to score it. That might be the only good thing about this movie. But Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Yeah, laser, video disc, stereo, digital sound, obviously, in I'll look at the release year of, it's probably 1990, I would imagine, of the release year of the LaserDisc. There's the back. You know, as I've said so many times in LaserDisc showcasing videos, like you got so much real estate, basically the size of a vinyl record, you can put a bazillion of pictures and stuff. So, oh wow, it says TM and copyright. Oh wait, that's no, it does say 1989 Pioneer. Okay, so this movie must have come out early in 1989 then, because it looks like it was on home video in 1989 before 1990. So there you go, Star Trek V, The Not So Final Frontier. And then when I saw that, I was like, for $2, I was like, oh boy, you can only imagine what I thought when I found this for $2. You better believe it, baby. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I would imagine this is the original North American LaserDisc release, I would imagine. What do we got for a release year on it? Copyright 1982, Paramount Pictures Corporation, manufactured by Pioneer Video Corporation. This LaserDisc came out in 1980. I'm holding something that came out in 1982. Yeah, I think maybe I kind of screwed up by the placement. Remember how at the beginning of the video I said it's kind of from not least interesting to more interesting? Well, this is obviously more interesting than the LaserDisc of Star Trek V. So these were switched around in the wrong order. But yeah, freaking, you know, and I'm not one of those people who thinks this is like the best Star Trek movie. My favorite Star Trek movie is Star Trek The Motion Picture, and I'm not actually one who, you know, holds this movie in any kind of high regard. I would have much rather have had like the pan and scan version of Star Trek The Motion Picture on LaserDisc, but I'm not going to pass up Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, original LaserDisc for pan and scan version for $2. And I didn't mention that obviously the LaserDisc of Star Trek V would be the pan and scan version as well. This isn't even digital sound probably. It does say stereo, but it probably doesn't. It's probably not even digital sound, which is fine. But yeah, I'm a big sucker for these early '80s LaserDiscs. So, and what's interesting about like the Star Trek Star Trek II Wrath of Khan logo is it's kind of, this came out in kind of the era of the early '80s resurgence in 3D, and the title almost makes you think if they, you know, had pondered shooting and releasing Star Trek II in 3D, because what's the release year? 1982. Yeah, I mean it's right around that resurgence, the early 80s of 3D. So I wonder if they pondered briefly, you know, releasing, you know, shooting and releasing this in 3D. It's hard to say, but yeah, I can remember being a kid at a video store before I'd ever seen this and looking on the back of the VHS. I think it had that gory picture of, you know, Ricardo Montalban's gory half pizza face, gore face, and I'm like, why is a Star Trek movie all full of gore? And then yeah, you can even see the hand hanging, the corpse hand hanging down. This one kind of went there, and you know, and then you got worms going into people's ears, and kind of really went there with Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It's actually kind of amazing that this didn't sell for whatever price they wanted to, and they had to mark it down to $2. I've already showcased the LaserDisc, probably the original or one of the original North American LaserDisc for the first film, and then when I found this for, what did I find this for? $2. I'm like, oh goody, I can have the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey on original pan and scan, you know, garbage home video LaserDisc. So $2, man, you better believe I'm going to get 2010, the year we made contact, on LaserDisc. It says copyright. Yeah, at first I'm like, this came out in 2010. No, it's 2010 the movie. Copyright 1984 by MGM UA Entertainment Co. All rights in this. Yeah, okay. So, oh well, if they're saying 1984 for the movie. Oh, okay. 1985, MGM UA Home Entertainment. So this LaserDisc is now, if I'm doing my math correctly, 41 years old, and it most likely feature the original pan and scan film to tape transfer that I grew up with, you know, recorded off TV in the 80s and grew up with and stuff. I do have the DVD of 20, well, we didn't call it 2010, we called it 2010, and subsequently did get the Blu-ray used as well. I got a special place in my heart. I mean, obviously it's so crazy actually making a sequel to one of the greatest movies ever made, and it was, you know, I got a soft spot in my heart for 2010 and stuff. You know, Roy Scheider, I mean, you can't really necessarily, you know, lose with Roy Scheider, so I got a special place in my heart for some 2010, the year we made contact. Two small images. The next step of the Space Odyssey is here. So that's 2010, the year we made contact. This one's actually $4. It's like clearance $4, which is really goofy, but I couldn't pass it up because I don't think, well, on the Blu-ray, on the DVD that I own, the double-sided, it might have the pan and scan, might have the same scan. So, but I couldn't pass this up for $4. Clearance $4. Original, probably film to tape transfer pan and scan garbage of Logan's Run. We've got package copyright 1984 MGM UA Home Entertainment. The movie is, of course, copyright the year I was born, 1976. And what's crazy about this movie is, you know, you can only fit like 2 hours on a single LaserDisc, 1 hour per side. And what's crazy about this movie, does it even show the running time? There's no running time. Oh, yeah, running time 119 minutes. So this just barely fits on one disc, 2 sides, you know, hour per side. I mean, this is like a minute away from not fitting on a single disc release. So that's really interesting about Logan's Run. Makes you wonder if, because they cram so much material on here, if the disc is all rotted to shit. And the only one I've watched so far, as I've already said, is the whatchamacallit, the Hand That Rocks the Cradle. But there's a possibility, because they cram so much garbage on here, that it's rotted to living hell. But yeah, and how cool is the frickin' artwork? It's almost worth, the packaging is almost worth $4. How cool is the artwork? Just that mid-70s painting artwork stuff. So there, Logan's Run. You guys might know I'm a big fan of the movie from 1970, Airport. I just recently showcased the original vinyl record soundtrack release. You can imagine how tickled I was to come across this for $2. Oh yeah, pan and scan, probably original film to tape transfer, pan and scan garbage on a release. Oh, I thought this was an early 90s release. No, this is copyright 1987. You got the mid to late 80s MCA Home Video logo on this bad boy. Yeah, I was confusing it with Continental Divide. I thought this was an early 90s. The VHS I've got, the very first time I saw it was I blind bought a VHS, an early 90s VHS version, I think for $1 back in the day. So I'm confusing it with that. But this is a freaking 87 LaserDisc release, digital sound. And because this movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes, we got 2 discs, 3 sides. And you might be able to see here that side 3 is in fact CAV for like a better image and, you know, still frame, slow motion capabilities. Like everyone with DVD and Blu-rays, you know, knows, of course, they can do still and freeze, you know, freeze frame, still, slow motion on any disc. But back in the day, unless you had a super duper player, you could only do like, you know, slow motion or freeze frame on discs that were CAV. And disc 1, of course, side 1 and 2 are CLV. But oh yeah, baby. You think I'm gonna you know, me being a huge fan of this movie, I'm gonna pass this up for $2? No such luck. Frickin' 1987 LaserDisc release of Airport. Got an orange back there with yeah. Why is that orange? Kind of curious the images they chose for the back, but those are the images they chose for the back. Since this is 2 discs, so I'm just so far into the video and this is 2 discs, this is getting heavy and I'm getting exhausted, but yeah, like I'm going to turn, don't let the discs fall out, like I'm going to turn down this LaserDisc release for $2. Airport. And when I wish I would have been recording the, recording video when I was flipping through these LaserDisc and continuously finding these titles. And when I came across Airport, then I came across, I don't know if it was that order, but then imagine my delight when I came across this for $2. Oh yeah, I grew up with this, Alfred Hitchcock Vertigo, copyright 1984 on this bad boy. And because it's 1984, there ain't going to be no digital sound, but yeah, this is 2 hours and 8 minutes, so you've got 3 sides. Looks like it's all extended play. I don't think there's any CAV side 3 or anything, but yeah, like $2. Yeah, I didn't know it was that old, 1984, so this thing is 42 years old. I should really probably watch some of these, especially like this and maybe Airport, and I should probably watch some of these just because, like, wow, frickin', yeah. You can tell there if you look at side 1, side 2, and side 3 that they probably evenly distribute the movie across the 3 sides, which makes sense. And like the Airport LaserDisc release, they just, cram majority of it on side, side 1 and 2, and then the last whatever, well, it's got to be less than 30 minutes for CAV, so yeah, in this case, it was back when they were doing the 3 sides more, spreading it out more evenly. There's the back of the 1984. I mean, I would imagine this is the original North American LaserDisc release of Vertigo. I could only imagine. I mean, it's possible there's a LaserDisc release that came out before this, but regardless, this being, from 1984, that's pretty gosh dang cool. You better believe I'm going to get up on some Vertigo, old, ancient, 42-year-old LaserDisc for $2. And then, you know what? I think I said the only one of these that I never saw is Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I don't think I necessarily seen this. I think I have the VHS, but I never watched it. You can imagine I was delighted to come across this for $2 as well. Shadow of a Doubt. I don't think I've ever seen it, so this should probably be the next one I watch, because this is, I don't think I've necessarily seen it. As I said, I might have the VHS, but I never watched it. This is, oh wow, this is a release that is copyright 1989 MCA Home Video, but it doesn't look to be in digital sound, which is really strange, because by 89 they're definitely doing digital sound. I think the Airport LaserDisc from 87 was digital sound, so it's kind of strange that that this isn't digital sound. This has got, doesn't this, yeah, it's got Joseph Cotton in it. We all know, no, well, not necessarily we all know, but Hume Cronin, I don't know how to pronounce his name, of course, is in Batteries Not Included. I remember I saw Batteries Not Included in the theater with my folks, or one of my folks, and I remember even at that young age of whatever else, when did that come out? 87, so I would have been 10. I felt bad for the family members in the audience for when the old guy was swearing and cussing and spazzing out and stuff. And yeah, it's so funny as a 10-year-old how I felt bad for the families that came to see it with all this swearing and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if the swearing is necessary, and Batteries Not Included. But at 10 I was sitting there judging their choices to have the swear words in the family film. I was probably right, even as a 10-year-old, but here's the back. What's on the back? Just 2 images. Having not seen the movie, I don't know what the hell is going on in them, but yeah, I'm kind of a fan of Joseph Cotton, and well, obviously Alfred Hitchcock. The movie came out in 1942. We've got a $2 LaserDisc release of Shadow, what is it? Of a Doubt. This movie I don't necessarily like per se, because I'm not a fan of Katharine Hepburn. She's kind of annoying, but for $2 I wasn't going to pass it up, being an ancient LaserDisc release from 1984. It's strange. The African, what is it? The African Queen. It's strange. When you think of Humphrey Bogart, you usually don't think of blue screen, but this movie has a lot of fakery, kind of, fakery on the river blue screen garbage. I can remember that. And when the hell did this movie come out? 1951. Yeah, so it's kind of one of the, when I think of Humphrey Bogart, I like him from the 30s and the 40s, not so much in color and, you know, getting older and blue screen and stuff. But Katharine Hepburn kind of annoys me as an actress, so I'm not so keen on the African Queen. But you know, for $2 I couldn't pass it up. I don't own it. That's another reason I got it, because I don't own it and I kind of wanted to own it. Why, if I don't like it, did I want to own it? Well, I'm weird, I guess. I don't think it's, what did they say, the release year, the 1984? Yeah, I don't see any indication of digital sound, so probably your analog audio on African Queen, CBS Fox Video, 1984, The African Queen. This is a Humphrey Bogart movie I like much more. Probably one of my favorite Humphrey Bogart movies. You can, like I say, I wish I would have recorded when I was looking through these, because of course, when I'm in public, I kind of, you know, try to control myself so I don't go like, oh, yay, you know, in public. But would have been interesting to record my facial expressions when I was flipping through this. When I found this for $2 on this ancient CBS Fox LaserDisc release, what's interesting is I just recently bought this for $5 on Apple TV. Glorious, you know. I don't know if that would be a 4K version. I mean, I don't have 4K TV, but whatever version's on Apple TV is absolutely gorgeous. So not long after I bought this on, you know, Apple TV for $5, I find this ancient ass LaserDisc from copyright 1984. And does this have any indication of, probably no digital sound, I would imagine. Nah, I don't see any indication of digital sound. Usually in 1984 they ain't doing no digital sound yet. That's the cover, front cover. Here's the back. Yeah, if you haven't seen this, man, oh my God, the humor in it, and you know, it's kind of humor, it's funny, and some of the things Humphrey Bogart does. And the crazy thing about this movie is I've seen it a bazillion times, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. Even after seeing it a bazillion times, I don't even know what happens. But I like the movie anyway. And it's got one of the coolest scenes between Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall when he comes to visit her at that casino or whatever, and she's singing, and he's leaning in the doorway, and he's, you know, kind of like, you know, oh my God, talk about cool cats. Like, that scene is just so cool. And Humphrey Bogart's, the character is so cool in this movie, so you can be sure it was hard to contain myself when I found some of these for $2. I was like, because I try not to go, oh boy, you know, in public. The Big Sleep. You guys might know I'm a big fan of these ancient ass LaserDiscs, so when I came across this for presumably $2, I was like, oh yeah, we've got Blake Edwards 10 with Dudley Moore, Julie Andrews, and Bo Derek on the cover there. This is probably, is this going to be the oldest one of these LaserDiscs? Possibly. Well, no, I think one of them was, I think Star Trek 2 was that 1982. This says package design and summary copyright 1983, but this is definitely one of the older ones in the lineup. I think I've got this on DVD, but for $2, you know me, and you know, old ancient LaserDisc. For $2, I gotta own the original North American LaserDisc release of 10. I can't remember. This is rated R, but I don't think there's necessarily any TNA or anything in it. One would think there would be if it's rated R, but I don't know if there is or not. I should watch it again, and this is the version of it that I should watch, because I think I saw it once years ago and I can't remember it. Here's the back of interesting orange color we got going on. The back of the original North American LaserDisc release of 10. When did the movie come out? The movie came out in 1979. So yeah, this is kind of when Dudley Moore was kind of more popular. This is before Arthur, I think. I want to say Arthur was a relatively popular Dudley Moore movie from back in the day. So this is when Dudley Moore was kind of popular. 10 on LaserDisc. So how cool is that? I don't know if we'll ever find 14 LaserDiscs again all at once like that for those slam bang prices. Pretty cool find, I must say. And like I say, I kind of wish I was recording my face when I was going through those, because even though I controlled my vocal, I managed to rein in my vocal responses, I was probably going, like when I saw a lot of those titles, I was probably like, for for $2, I was just like, I want to just, I guess I can reenact my reactions, but something probably like that in public in a half-price bookstore somewhere in Minnesota. But yeah, this might be the last time I ever find 14 LaserDiscs all at once at these kind of prices. Very, very exciting and fun day. Should probably watch some of these, maybe like Shadow of a Doubt, maybe 10, who knows what, maybe Vertigo, whatever. I'll watch whatever the hell I want to watch. African Queen I haven't seen a lot, so I could watch that. It'd be fun to see the garbage home video version of Big Sleep, after, watching the pristine frickin' HD, possibly 4K version that's on Apple TV or whatever. Anyway, this video is probably already long enough. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you very much for doing so. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, we'll catch you on the next video.